a rich man's world. I have turned the soul of this beautiful land, but that beauty.
Hey, son, you made the team this year? They say you weren't tall enough. It's not new. No, yeah, this is not reality. Don't mind what you This is family business, and this is for the family that can't be with us. And this is for my cousin locked down on the answers. And this is why I spit it in my song so sweet like a photo with your granny. Picture that at your gone. Hit us super hard on Thanksgiving and Christmas. This can't be right. Yeah, you heard the track I did, man. This can't be like. Somebody please say grace so I can save face and have a reason to cover my face. I even made you a plate. So fool, know how granny do it. Monkey bread on the side, know how the family do it. When I brought it, why the God had to look all through it. As kids, we used to laugh. Who knew that life would move this fast? Who knew I have to look at you through a glass and look? You tell me you ain't did it, then you ain't did it. And if you did, then that's family business. Everybody standing with us. Come on, let's take a family Grammy picture. And we remember when they ain't believe in me. That she like, see, that's my cousin on TV. Damn, we getting it in, we gon' make it, and they gon' hate it. And I'm his favorite, I can't deny it. I'm a straight rider, but when we get together, be electric sliding. Grandma, get them shook up. Oh no, don't open the photo book up. I got a aunt Ruth that can't remember your name, but I bet them Polaroids to set her down memory lane. You know that one auntie, you don't mean to be rude, but every holiday nobody eating a food, and you don't wanna stay ahead, cause them your worst cousins. Got roaches at the crib like them your first cousins. Act like you ain't took a bath with your cousin. Fit 3 in the bed. If it's 6 of y'all, I'm talking about 3 by the head and 3 by the leg. But you ain't have to tell my girl I used to be in the bed. Rain, go away, let the sun come out, and all the children say, rain, 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 go away. And all the children say, state of mind, a creative way to rhyme without using knives and guns. Keep your nose out the sky, keep your heart to God, and keep your face to the rising sun. All my niggas from the shines, my family, dog. And my niggas ain't my guys, they my family, dog. I feel like one day you'll understand me, dog. You can still love your man and be manly, dog. You ain't gotta get heated at every housewarming. Sitting here grilling people like George Foreman. My Uncle Ray and Aunt Sheila always performing. Second she storm out, then he storming. Y'all gon' sit down, have a good time this reunion, and drink some wine like communion, and act like everything fine. And if it isn't, we ain't letting everybody in our family business on. They don't need nothing. They don't need nothing. All the glitter is not good. It's not Let's get Stevie out of jail.
Okay. Welcome to the WUAO Show. I'm your host, Michael Phelps from the WUAO Show. Like I always state that we as Sodawers is a group of information and education, and we also about solutions. Sometimes we can agree, we can disagree, but all agreements and disagreements are to each one of us growth. Because we both grown together. This is my cousin. I love to death. We've been knowing each other ever since we was knee high to a grasshopper, and we both sharpen each other, and that's why we able to. That's why we grow in our ministry because of each other. But I let him introduce himself.
Raymond Carl.
Raymond Carl. Okay, because you want to read the topic.
Topic of today: when darkness has fallen upon families, how do we lead family back into the light and reset?
Yeah, that is a hard thing to do. When people get hurt and they emotionally drunk, it's hard to talk to somebody when they're emotionally drunk and feeling rejected and feeling exiled.
When darkness comes in many forms.
So you say that? What you say again?
I said darkness comes in many forms, and often when it comes to families, that darkness does come in the form of hurt. But everybody doesn't talk about their hurt. Everybody doesn't verbalize their hurt. Sometimes the hurt is verbalized, sometimes it's non-verbalized. It just comes in the way, it comes out in the way a person acts. They don't necessarily say anything, but you can, there's indicators there that there's something wrong. Sometimes that hurt comes in the form of not coming around the family at all. They just disconnect altogether.
Lash it out.
But so yeah, sometimes they lash out. I mean, like I said, that darkness comes in many forms. But the question is, how do you address it? That's the light that you're talking about. You say, how do you bring that family back to light from that dark place?
How do you get them to reset?
How do you get them to reset? And that a lot of times the only way that can truly be addressed is, and we've talked about this before, you can address a weed from above ground, you can address a weed from below ground. Address a weed from above ground, that means you want to address it at the surface. You just talk about the surface of the issue without ever really getting to the root of the issue. Until you get to the root of the issue, then you don't really truly address the issue. You're only addressing the surface of the issue.
What about if a bush has sticky thorns and you can't grab it?
Okay. Well, then guess what? Like we said, you find a different way to grab that bush. Okay, you put gloves on, whatever you need to do. That's
shovel.
Dig it up. You dig deep enough, but there's a way. There's always a way. It's like we figure out a way to do everything else we want to do. Figure out a way to address an issue when you care enough about the issue.
Yes.
To address it, then you find a different way to address it. But if you don't care, then you'll just dress it in your kind of way, and then it only gets worse. It gets worse before it gets better. That makes sense.
Yes. So that means that light is the true love that you have to display, no matter if you hurt in the process.
Now, there's when it comes to when we talk about love, remember love is other-centered, not self-centered. So when you displaying love to somebody, especially when it comes to communication, then obviously you want to know why they hurt. Okay, that means you want to hear, you want to listen.
Yeah.
You want to go to where they at to understand their hurt. So that means you have to take the time and put in the effort to have that deep conversation with them. And yes, sometimes when you talk about even if it hurts you, sometimes they may be saying maybe that might involve you, it might involve somebody else, but it might involve you. You have to be willing to take what that person is saying without interrupting them, allowing them to get it out. So that you can, because what that does is, in the midst of that pain, them saying something that may be about you that might involve you, that is hurting you at the same time, you have to be willing to endure that to get to the root. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah, a lot of people ain't built for it tough. And that's why they relax back. Because if they was built Chevy or Ford tough, they'd be able to, because You know, those type of trucks can drive over rocks, and you know, they shocks absorbent. You know, they have a lot of things that can absorb the impact. A lot of times people are not built. They built like a Hyundai. Well, you know, I'm not. You know, I'm just showing you through.
No, I get it. I get it. And even when you talk about that, there's always modifications that you can make to your vehicle.
Yeah.
There's modifications that you can make to your life of learning. Okay, just because you may not have necessarily had the experience doesn't mean you can't learn.
Yes.
All you have to do is have to be willing to learn. Be willing to sacrifice the cost of making those modifications.
Or if you can't stand driving in that type of rough terrain, you get someone who don't mind driving in it. They take the things that means the mediator, you know. And sometimes you can't address an issue because either your communication level is not as fluent as it could to bring the necessary peace. So you'll go get someone who can moderate for you, that can able to express what you want, what you're trying to express, that you can't express. And sometimes that's what we have to do when we deal with people. And sometimes it ain't what you're saying, it's who you are. Like certain people just can't say something to certain people, but certain people can, even though they can have not the best English or whatever, but they have a relationship that is able to allow them to say, okay, I respect that person, and therefore I'm gonna listen to him or her over this person over here, even though they speak in the best language and everything, using all the big words, using everything. You see what I mean? But I'm just saying, you know, sometimes that happens in when it comes to dealing with family. You know, it might take a Raymond that could go and talk, sit down and talk to a person that Michael can't talk to. You might can talk to my child, but I can't at a time where my child won't listen to me. You see what I mean? So that's where you have those proper men. That's what that village. That's what another moderator can come in and help navigate or facilitate information to a person, so they can kind of actually see it, because they respect that person for who they are. I do see that a lot in families. You know, I mean, everybody can't approach everybody. No,
everybody may not necessarily have that built-in time. And sometimes they can use the very same words that the other person's going to use. But it's just simple. It's just you know, there's five. I believe there's 5 different powers. There's what's called legitimate power, that which is given to you by position. Then there's reward power, that which is given by the fact that you can give gifts or whatever the case may be, reward somebody for certain things. And there's coercive power, that which you take, that which is forced upon somebody. Then there's expert power, that which someone who has maybe expert knowledge of some kind of thing. And then there's information power. But then there's one that comes up quite often, which is called reverent power. The reverent power is based on relationship, that somebody that you've earned that trust from them, so therefore they give you that power in their life because you've earned that with them. Yeah. And it's called reverent power.
Yeah. Name those 5 powers again. I want everybody to make sure they hear those powers.
Oh, okay. So you have legitimate power, you have reward power, you have coercive power, you have expert power, and you have information power. Matter of fact, there's 6. Then you have reverent power.
Okay, so there's 6 of them, not 5.
Yeah, that's right. There's 6.
So, and what through those 6 is that everybody don't possess every last one. Some people can possess all of them. Some possess 1. Some possess 3.
What the reality is,
some not possess none.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is that if you have a power up, this is like when you talk about legitimate power, like a manager at a job. Okay, that power, that position is given to them. Yeah. Okay, so they will possess. They first have legitimate power because they have a position, but then they also have coercive power and they also have reward power. All those powers come with that position. So you know, now sometimes they may not have the power to fire, so they may not have coercive power. But they do have the power of writing you up. Yeah. And then someone else may have the power to fire. So then that way they possess the coercive power. You know, you may have reward power where you one may be able to give somebody a raise, something like that. That's kind of like having reward power. Yeah. Or giving somebody like a gift card, something like that. That's a type of reward power. Or it doesn't have necessarily be a tangible thing. It could be an intangible thing. Yeah. When you tell somebody, hey, you know, you did a really good job doing this, that, and the other. That's reward power, you know, especially if they accept it. You know, it's that reward power. But it's important that, you know, we understand, you know, those powers and how they use and how they relate to one another, and knowing where you stand with individuals when you interact, what kind of power you have or don't have.
Yeah. And how to use those powers.
And how to use those powers.
How to abuse those powers.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know, because we have a lot of people that can abuse those powers.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm the elder here. You gonna listen to me, or I'm this. I have more seniority than you, or I'm, you know, you have those type of beings out there. But we know we say we want to. I brought some questionnaires in there too.
Yeah. We'll go to the first question. First question is: after a fight breaks out at a family function, and one member feels ganged upon and excluded.
So that is a real hard one to deal with, because if someone is got ganged up on, and then there was punches thrown, and then they actually feel excluded because everybody took a side, picked a side. You know, that is one thing that we have to, as people that's legitimate in a position, to make sure that doesn't take place, because it should never be a gang up on one person, regardless if, you know, regardless of what the situation is. We know that certain people can rub people off wrong. We know that, and in that process, it can cause everybody to disconnect from that one individual, and then everybody starts to formulate an alliance with the one that's actually brought it to the table, that's saying something to them, and maybe didn't say it in the correct way. But we have to be, even if we bystanders, and if we don't like the behavior, we have to still remain in a place of non-bias, and say, you know what, that's still family. Let me stay out. Let me stay bipartisan in this, and let me just, hey, if I have to jump in, just walk them out, or walk them, or pull them to the side and talk to them, then let us do such, instead of just ganging up. I think, you know, because nobody likes to feel isolated at a family event.
Well, nobody likes to feel ganged up on.
Exactly.
Because the truth of the matter is, I mean, most people, as soon as the numbers rise, they get more and more defensive.
Yes.
It doesn't de-escalate, it escalates the situation,
Yes.
astronomically.
Yes.
Because they feel like, no, I'm outnumbered, I'm the only one that's for me, so therefore now I'm gonna up the ante, I'm gonna get even more aggressive, because I feel like I'm outnumbered. And so, you know, it's like when you go to approach somebody, it's like giving somebody respect. You know, when you go to approach somebody, it's always better to move them away from the group.
Yes.
It's always better to move them away from the
Isolate.
situation. You say, hey, can we go over here and talk one-on-one versus in front of people? Because sometimes, because everybody, people instigate, they're throwing a little comments in, they're involving themselves in something they really shouldn't be involving them in. They're having opinions. They've already chosen a side based on, again, as we talked about those powers, based on the relationship, based on, okay, this person may have reverent power. Okay, I got a relationship with this, and I don't have a relationship with this one. So it doesn't matter what this one over. It doesn't matter what this one over here does, because they're going to be right no matter what. Why? Because I like them. Okay, not because and it's not a matter of judging whether the right and wrong of the situation. The information has to even be considered, because of course when you're addressing something, you should always address it from the position of the information. Okay, he said the best decision that one can make is an informed decision. So therefore, you want to make sure that you're informed. If you're uninformed, then you should first get informed before you even include yourself. But if you're uninformed, then like you said, or misinformed, and sometimes you need to listen to determine whether or not, because you have to ask relevant questions, you have to make sure everything's accurate, you have to make sure you know the depth of this issue, you have to make sure you again, now that's addressing the breadth of the situation, That's addressing the different perspectives. Okay, I've heard this side, and then you weigh the information out. Okay, what's based on opinion? What's based on the facts? Who, what, when, why, where, and how? You consider all those things before you include yourself. Because if you do not do that, it gets messier.
Yes.
And then that's where misunderstandings take place, and that's where people get more and more defensive.
Yes, yes. And that's what we have, and those are the problems you have when it comes to family dynamics, when you have a lot of breakdowns in a family gathering, because everybody picks to have their battles at the family gathering when they could have stayed excluded, bro, and stayed out of. Don't bring it here. You know, we used to go to the club, and everybody used to have a good old time. You know, the club was the place that everybody go to have a good time, mingle, meet people, and have fun. But it's always those who wants to feel like they have to. This is an opportunity for them to show their tails. You get that in the family too. You know, this is not the place to show your tail. This is the place for us to enjoy each other. Yes, you're gonna have people you're gonna dislike. Yes, you're gonna have people you had a bump with. Yes, you have people that you might have disagreed with. Yes, you might have you might be mad at your mom or your dad at the moment. You might be mad at an auntie or uncle or cousin. But that strife should not be everybody's strife. That should be an isolated incident, and you should still be able to come and still be able to enjoy the festivities, even if y'all two don't talk. You know, but you can still be cordial. You can say hi and keep it pushing. These are the things that we have to learn, as even in our community. This is just not a fact. When we talk about family, we talk about this is in the community. This is the neighbor. You don't want who wants to beef with your neighbors across the street or next door to you? Who likes that feeling? I would never like to. I got to walk out my house and my skin fringing up and all. I feel like I want to do something to my neighbor, or my neighbor want to do something to me.
Like a dog with the hair raising on your back every day. Come on, child.
Yeah, you know who wants to? Who likes to feel that way? Yeah. Your home is your Picasso. You know, and your homies. When you come in your neighborhood, you want to feel safe. If your neighborhood kept coming down, if everybody kept coming to your neighborhood and doing drive-bys in it, you don't feel safe. You can't lay your head down in safety. You don't feel good about yourself. You know, you pick up on those attributes. Those attributes start to spill out when you're at work and everywhere else, because you're not in a safe environment. So you're in a hostile environment. So guess what? You're gonna have a hostile spirit.
Hostile attitude, right?
Yeah. So you're gonna go out and be hostile everywhere you go. Mm-hmm. So you always want to create the most softest environment that you can live in. And that's for your children and for yourself and for your family. Mm-hmm. You know, people just need to understand that, you know, and that's what we have to obtain when we talk about family goals. If we talk about moving the family into the light, we have to respect the boundaries that we're not all going to agree. And we're all not close. Everybody's not going to be close. But that doesn't mean that we got to be antisocial. That doesn't mean that we can't love each other. Just because I ain't close with you like I'm with this cousin over here, that don't mean I love you less than that. It's like having two children. One children you might be a little bit that clings to you a little bit more. The other one don't cling to you. But do you love them less than you love the other one?
Well, I would say that could be questioned. And the reason why I can say that could be questioned is because sometimes in families, you know, when you think about loving somebody, meaning that, again, you're being other-centered. Mm-hmm. Okay? In other words, you want the best for them.
Yes.
And they want the best for you. But not every family wants the best for the other. Because sometimes we hope that something will happen to one of our family members. Sometimes, and that's not a good thing. Yeah. You know, but nonetheless, people have those attitudes. Sometimes they're like, well, you know, I hope you break your leg. I hope this happens. I hope you die. Yeah, I mean, there's people have verbalized that. Yeah.
But that's not a hurt. That's not a hurt situation. Well, even though you said it, you meant it. Yeah. What is it? A drunken mind. Yeah. Speaks a sober mind.
Yeah. Sober mind. Yeah. And so, and those are facts. You know. So again, when you talk about bringing a family back to light or restoring it back to a point of
the reset,
bring it back to a point of reset, then what you have to that takes everybody's participation. Okay, and that when I mean it, when I say it takes everybody's participation, means that each and every individual has to look at themselves introspectively to do their part to make that happen. Okay, I can't look at you to do my part.
Yes, yes.
I have to do my part, and you have to do your part, and everybody else got to do their part. But see, when I'm looking at you to do my part, okay, now I'm outsourcing what I shouldn't be outsourcing. Why? Because now I'm expecting me out of the black box of your mind.
It's funny on that. It's just like you go to work and you can always tell when someone is not working because you're not working, watching them not work. But you can tell somebody they're not working because you're not working, right. You're watching them not work.
Well, yeah, I mean, just like what they used to do in school. Yeah, like he was looking at me. Well, how you know he was looking at you if you weren't looking at him?
Thank you.
You see what I mean? And that again, we've got to as families own our accountable. We got to be accountable for ourselves.
Yes.
Okay, it's like just because you say something to me doesn't mean I have to say something back. I can engage a sense of agency. What that means is a sense of control. Okay, I can control myself. Okay, now I can also give away that control. Okay, by allowing something that you do to trigger me in such a way that I misbehave. Okay, but in reality, I can say that it was you that made me do it, but it wasn't you that made me do it. It was me that chose to do it because of what I felt about what you did.
There be the emotions.
And so those emotions. Okay, so you have an event. Okay, and then you have a feeling or a response, a thought. Okay, it goes from an event to a thought. Okay, and then from that thought, it goes to an emotion and a behavior. Okay, so what am I saying? I'm saying it's really about how I interpreted what you did. If that makes sense.
Because some people would say that, I said hi to them and they didn't speak. Well, in today's day and time, I'm just gonna bust some people bubbles to leave it with myself. You could be standing right over there, and my eyes are not as good as they used to be. So I don't even know it's you until you get closer. Then I say, oh, that's such a good. But people would take that like you were really not ignoring them, and it's not true. And I wish people had that mindset to say that, okay, I'm not gonna take it personal. Let me just walk over to them and let them know, hey, I thought you looked at me. And I'm saying, oh no, I didn't see you, bro. I'm sorry, man. I said,
Or like we do in our coaching. Walk up to you and say, you can't speak?
Yes.
Oh, you didn't see me? Because I sure see you. I mean, keep it cordial. Yeah, keep it cordial, keep it funny. You can make something, you can make it funny. That's what I'm saying, man. You didn't see me because I sure saw you. Oh man, I didn't see you. Oh, okay. That clears it up right there. But if I automatically take offense to how I determined or I've concluded in my own mind that your intention was to ignore me. Now I've judged you. That's what judging is. Judging is judging someone's intention, okay, or coming to a conclusion about someone's intention, which may be accurate, which may be inaccurate. So therefore, you want to inform yourself by asking questions to determine or to come to an accurate conclusion as to whether or not it is what you thought it was, or what you concluded that it was. If that makes sense.
And that's where we have to go beyond ourselves, and communication has always been our worst subject in our community, in our culture. They do not know how to communicate. They refuse to communicate. You can't heal anything without proper communication. You have to be able to sit down. I always say at a round table because it gives you 360 degrees of understanding. You want understanding you want it to be reciprocated. That's why the round table is very important, because everything has to be reciprocated. It has to go around. Everybody gets a chance to speak. But people don't want to sit at a table for understanding. They rather just sit it out and put it out in the atmosphere and hemisphere on how they feel. And what was the second comment?
Oh, yeah, we'll get
Second
to that.
question.
The second question is when a hurt member takes to social media and calls out the whole family when it was only one person they had an issue with.
That's what I'm talking about. You put it in the hemisphere and the atmosphere about something, and then you include everybody in the subject matter when everybody had nothing to do with that. It was just you and a particular person that had a beef. That beef should not have to been,
So then here's the question.
Mm-hmm.
Why would one feel the need to go to social media? What do you think they're after?
Attention.
You think they well, that could be part of it.
It's
Attention,
attention.
or it could be that they're looking for some kind of support for how they feel. So it's like, okay, I felt like I didn't get it.
That's what attention is.
I feel like I didn't get it here, so I'm gonna go here and see if I can get somebody to hear what I'm saying and side with me because I feel like I was sided against over here, so I want somebody to side with me over here.
And hindsight 22, that's still attention. Because you're looking for somebody, you're looking for gratification for people to accept what your agenda or what you're feeling. If you like you said, be selfless, self-centered, you don't have to go to those extremes to get what's going to validate your feelings. Your feelings is your feelings. No matter how many people get on there and put a heart or a like on there, right? Them people don't agree. They might not agree. They might just be hitting heart and like just because they, just to be doing something. You don't know what, or some people will feed you bad information. So you taking a like and a love, a heart, and it could be feeding you bad information. Mm-hmm. If we're dealing with, if me and you got into it, mm-hmm. and let's say hypothetically, you didn't, and maybe somebody else might agree with you. Mm-hmm. I get upset. Mm-hmm. I take it to the hemisphere and atmosphere, and I put it out there. Mm-hmm. Never came to you. Mm-hmm. But I can take it to the world, and I got the whole world siding with me versus them two people that side with you. Mm-hmm. Now I feel validated. Now I feel like what I did is justified because I got 100 people versus 2 people mm-hmm. that's on my side versus your 2. Mm-hmm. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. Nothing's going to heal that way. Mm-hmm. Nothing is going to be discussed. Nothing is going to be transcended from one elevation to the next because I got 100 people who like what I said, and you got your 2 people. I'm looking at, I got more people liking what I said and believe what I said because they only heard my side of the story. They didn't hear both sides of the story. Right. You know what I mean? So we have to be careful when we do that because that is, and then when you do that, and then you put the stigma that it's a family, what's in the family should be, everything. There's certain things that should be talked about that we shouldn't have kept secret in a family. We know those things when we was growing up. But there are certain things you just don't. That should stay in the family. But there's things that should be told, but that's to a professional. That's the people that's actually going to try to help, not just any and everybody. Mm-hmm. So I just don't think that going on there is a plight to try to find people to assure you or comfort you because you're hurting. Hurt people hurts people, and hurt people love finding people to support their hurt quicker than people who really wants to heal. Mm-hmm. When people want to heal, they don't take to those type of measures. They want to go to the proper people.
That can be argued as a point of perspective. Okay, some people believe that from their perspective, mm-hmm. their opinion, mm-hmm. That Facebook is helpful. They feel that TikTok's mm-hmm. helpful. They feel that YouTube's mm-hmm. helpful. What's the other one? Instagram. They didn't change the name. Whatever. Twitter and all that. Yeah, they think because they feel that they feel that it's therapeutic for them. Okay, but like you said, there's a lot of potholes There's a lot of dangers because not everybody, not everybody is going to give you good information.
Yes.
You know,
Well,
you need somebody. You really need somebody who's going to be unbiased.
Yes.
That's for the relationship, and not for one or the other. They're for the relationship. Their goal is not to say, here are the one sides. Well, I've already come to my conclusion. Here the other side. Well, I've already come to my conclusion. No, you hear both sides, and what you're after is the truth, and you're after bringing about in the end when everything's said and done to bring that relationship together.
Yeah.
So you're for the both of them. So you encourage them to listen to one another. You encourage them to talk and to respect one another and to hear and give each other a good hearing so that the other understands that's what a good mediator does, to encourages open communication for the other person to listen to the other person and vice versa, and to not interrupt one another so that both sides are heard and therefore understood, so that you both walk away with an understanding.
Yeah. And and the thing that where I would say most of the time when people go on social media and blast their family or blast people, eventually you'll hear them later on say, well, I'm done with Facebook. Facebook evil. Because now someone told them the truth. Mm-hmm. Now they don't like Facebook. Mm-hmm. As long as everybody was agreeing with them, they can accept it. But as soon as one person come back and say, you know what, I thought about what you said, I think you was wrong. Oh, I don't like Facebook anymore. Facebook is evil. I don't want to be on that book. It's an evil book. It's evil, isn't it? Mm-hmm. See, that's what I'm saying. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You have to you're gonna take the good with the bad, and then move. That's why I said I don't use Facebook for what everybody else uses it for. Mm-hmm. I don't never use it to air out no dirty laundry. I use it for a teaching mechanism, and I use it for a learning mechanism. That's it. That's all it gets for me. It doesn't get anything else. And it gives me a place where I can stay in contact with people from all over the world that I'm affiliated with. I can keep them educated, and they can keep me educated. They can keep me grounded, and I can keep them grounded. So we keep each other grounded. Mm-hmm. Iron sharpen iron. So if you're using it for your display for your own characteristics or to build yourself up, you're gonna find yourself hating Facebook after a while, because it's not that type of tool. Once they start putting the hearts, the likes, and the care, the dislikes, and all them symbols on there, what do you think people get in arguments about? As soon as when you put the hearts and likes on it, they love it. Put it just like them when they make a comment and you just like it. Mm-hmm. Oh, man, everybody pissed off. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So you have to be careful. And then when people disagree with your comment, you can't stand it. Facebook is evil now because people are disagreeing with what you're saying. Mm-hmm. That's what called dialogue. Well, everybody's not going to agree with you.
Well, I mean, everybody. The truth of the matter is, first of all, your value should never be with someone else. Your value should be with yourself.
Yes.
So let me first say that. Then secondly, when you're asking people's opinions, they're only giving you their interpretation based on their values, their life experiences, the way they've been socialized, their history,
their environment.
So so they can only maybe there will be some commonalities and maybe there won't be. Mm-hmm. So even when someone says I don't agree with you, it may not necessarily be that you're wrong. They just simply don't agree with you because of their walk in life.
Yes.
So don't take it personal because someone didn't agree with you.
Or they might just be challenging the ideal. Yeah. Now, and there is tactful ways that people can challenge each other without being so aggressive and being so rude. There's people that get on there and be rude, and there's people out there that will attack your beliefs. They'll attack they'll attack what you stand for. They do a lot of things. Mm-hmm. So you do get a lot of that in there too. Mm-hmm. But if you're looking for, if you're only there to get the likes and the praises, then social media might not be for you. Mm-hmm. Because you got a plethora of people that you don't even know that just comment on your post.
Right.
So
all over the world.
All over the world. So why would you take it personal?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Or why would you even take your business on there and try to expose? Because when you expose something, if you say, "Oh, my family, this family ain't nothing," and you say that, and they know it's your family, you're exposing yourself as you're speaking about your family,
Mm-hmm.
because you're a part of that family too.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to be careful what you say,
Mm-hmm.
because it's gonna come back. You know, they say when you got 4 fingers, ain't you got one more aimed back at you.
You got 4. You got 1 point to somebody else. You got 4 aiming back at you.
Yeah, you say 4, you say 1, you say whatever you got fingers pointing back at you. Just say it like that. So you got to be careful when you do stuff like that, because you know what I mean. Because when you're speaking on ill will on somebody else, and you are connected through blood or through roots or something like that, or through the tree, then you're speaking of yourself. Because the apples doesn't fall too far from the tree sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to be careful when you say certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody pays attention. So they know the fruit by the tree that it bears. Mm-hmm. So you're saying one thing about somebody else and talking bad about everybody else. People watching you now to see where you at. Mm-hmm. So be careful when you do that. And that's what I'm saying with family. We got to be careful when we go in and spilling information because we're upset. Why take to it when you're upset? Mm-hmm. That's not a place to go to air out your dirty laundry. And we talk about healing, and we talk about families, we talk about a community, we talk about a neighborhood, and we talk about being spiritual beings. That is not the way we handle things. We have went all the way against the nature of how we should handle things, and took it to an unnatural way, and then we want a natural result. It's not going to happen that way. But what was the third one? What was the next one?
Actually, so the third one is when a lack of respect is present.
How do you deal with that one when respect is not present there?
Well, you can, first of all, again, you should always come to the conversation having value your own position, having value within yourself. Again, if you're outsourcing that value, you're going to be disappointed every time.
Yes.
Because when you put other people in charge of your value, that means they can give it, they can take it whenever they want, which makes it unstable. So you must value yourself first. Now, if you value yourself, but yet it's also good to get the perspective of others. There's nothing wrong with that. It's actually a good thing to get the perspective of others as long as it's healthy. Yeah. So because we don't have all the answers. Yes. And I'm a firm believer that there's beauty in collaboration. Yes. So sometimes someone can tell you something that you probably didn't even know about yourself and even think about. Mm-hmm. You know, they may give you a piece of information that gives you something to think about, and it may cause you to either continue to believe what you believe or change your position based on the information that you've now received. So that can be, it could go either way. Yeah. But so, like I said, you know, you don't want to ever give others that kind of power over you where you're either made or broken based on what they say. Yeah. You don't want to give them that kind of power.
Yeah. And you know, and the thing about respect is that it says, "To whom is much given is much required of them." So what is given unto you, what you expect for yourself, you should want to respect that from others, because you're giving it. You want to give what you want back in return, and that's the respect matter. Because you can, if I can come over there and I can say, you know what, regardless of what I'm feeling, but I hold myself up to a higher standard, and I know I have to. So I'm gonna treat you with a higher standard. Mm-hmm. That's a respect. That's something that is naturally given. Mm-hmm. Now, when you violate that respect, then all of a sudden, then it's going to be a thing that we might have to figure out how to earn that back, or we have to figure a way to reconcile that those differences. And sometimes they're just small differences; they're not big ones. Mm-hmm. And you got to know the difference between the small one and the big one, because sometimes we take the smallest thing and make it a big thing, and so therefore respect never enters back into the room.
But then again, again, we're talking about perspective.
Yes.
If one person thinks it's small, another person thinks it's big, if someone else thinks it's big, someone else thinks it's small.
Yes.
It's the value that they give it, not the value that you think it is. It's the value that they give it. So, and the thing is that when you talk about love and being other centered, if it's big to them, then guess what? It should be big to you.
Yeah.
Because it's big to them.
Yeah.
Okay? Because if you address it that way, if you address it from their perspective, you can win them. If you address it from your perspective, oh, that's just small stuff. Now you're dismissing their feelings. Now they're gonna feel some kind of way about you. Why? Because you just dismissed. They brought something to you, and you told them, oh, that's just little stuff. Just get over it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? You don't want to tell somebody to get over something that means something to them.
Yeah.
You wanna give them an ear to be able to express.
Exactly. Brother Allen, Rhonda said, hello, hello. And Alan Befall said, good evening, people. And then he said, agreed. Unfortunately, many people speak what they demand of others versus acting on their own value, regardless of the behavior of those around them. Yes, they do. They have those. I don't know. Sometimes people put up barriers, and they put high stakes on other people, but put lower stakes on themselves. And I think that's, that was what the Sadducees and Pharisees was doing. They were putting higher values on the people, but they're lowering the stakes for themselves. And I think that's what happens when we talk about respect in a classroom or in a family or wherever. You have to put as much respect, hold respect at a high value on everything you do when it's centered around people. Because when you're dealing with people, like you said, what they deem is small or big, you might deem is small. But what they might deem is small, you might think is big. So there's got to be a fine balancing act on that of understanding. So we have to know we have a happy medium here. So therefore, we're gonna try to make sure we stay on the happy medium. Because if we took the wrong approach, we're gonna get hit by incoming traffic. Right. So we have to be careful and find out how to balance and juggle those things.
Right, and the only way, the best way, I believe, the best way to approach that is with compassion.
Yes.
Why? Because when someone addresses, because remember, compassion means walking, the ability to be able to walk in someone else's shoes.
Yes. So
when you address it from a compassionate standpoint, again, more than likely you will win them. When you support somebody where they are, where their value is, you more than likely you can win them. But if you don't support them and where their value is, in other words, if you don't give their position a good hearing, then of course they're going to be offended immediately. Okay, conversation done. Okay, even if they're still standing talking to you, they might have Odie eyes. If you know what Odie eyes are, Odie, when Garfield was talking to Odie, nothing was going on. I mean, his eyes just going back and forth, But because they've checked out, they've checked out on you. Okay, they're not listening, and that's what you don't want. That's what happens in families,
and that's what happens in relationships with men and women. If a woman is nagging about something, and you ignoring her, then emotionally she checks out on you. And then all of a sudden you be trying to figure out why she ain't listening, why she just cold-hearted to you, because she emotionally checked out. She's been telling you and explaining to you for the longest what was going on. But sometimes men, we get so cocky and we're so prideful. Even with men, when they try to tell a woman, same thing, vice versa. It ain't just men that does it. Women does it too. So, and children does it, and elders does it. You know what I mean? So this ain't just a individual or a selective group. It's everybody's doing it. So we just got to figure out. We got to start to listen and pay attention to the writing on the walls. And I just think people don't pay attention to the writing on the walls.
Well, there's this book, I forgot the name of it, but in this book, they talk about affect labeling. In that regard, is when you're in conflict or in a discussion with somebody and they're expressing something to you, it becomes so imperative or so important that you listen so that you can accurately support them where they are.
Yes.
You know, so it's like if someone says something to you and you find, okay, they say, oh, okay, you sound like you're upset. Yes, I'm upset. You know, you sound like you sound sad. Yes, I'm sad. Okay, it sounds like you're saying this. Yes, you know that kind of stuff right there. That tells them, number one, it tells them that you're listening.
Yeah.
And then it also tells them that you're supporting. Go ahead.
Yes. But Stephen Abraham said, respect is circumstantial and it includes titles. If we honor each, we see values increase substantially. Then he said, we don't go into courtrooms saying respect, we say honor or your highness. Alan Fall said, many people spend more time trying to invalidate the experience of others merely because they may disagree with it. Our compassion and empathy gets eroded over life when we don't feed those aspects of our person. Yes. Yes, indeed. Thanks.
And I want to correct something that I said. That sometimes I get the two confused. Compassion is one's desire to help.
Yes.
And empathy is walking in someone else's shoes. So I want to make sure I correct that.
Yeah, thank you. But caught yourself. But you did a great job. But you know, we struggle. All of us struggle with that, man. You know, we all struggle with the differences between the two.
Yeah.
You know, I might say it's empathy, but it could be compassion. I'm empathetic, but I should be empathizing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I understand. You know, we all go through that state of mind, state of grace. You know, grace is one of the things that a lot of times we don't extend out in the family. We don't extend grace out to nobody. We got to do for the willing as well as we do for the. We got to do as much for the ungrateful as well as we do for the willing. It's hard sometimes because you're doing a lot for the ungrateful people, and you hear them murmuring and complaining all the time. You still have to do for them as you're gonna do for the willing. Because we got a lot of ungrateful people in the world. You know, we had to take a pledge, and this was one of the pledge. That was the pledge. We do as for the willing as we do for the ungrateful. With so much for so little. That was one of my pledges that we had to take, and I stand by that. I try to do for the ungrateful as well as I do for the willing. When I measured out the numbers on the willing versus the ungrateful numbers are higher every time, all the time. They're always a higher number, and it hurts sometimes because you put yourself in a position of empathy, and you try to be compassionate for where they're at. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a fine balancing act.
Yes.
When you're dealing with I believe that there's categories of ungrateful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There are the ungrateful who know no better.
Yes.
But yet want to do better, they just don't know better.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ungrateful that can be helped. But then you have the ungrateful that don't care.
Yes.
Okay? Those are ungrateful that are takers. And they're going to continue to take.
Yeah.
Because that's just who they choose to be.
And they lack the respect.
And they lack the respect. Yeah. So therefore they're the ones that usher in confusion because they don't care. You know, even if you try to talk to them, you try to reason with them, they just don't care. Mm-hmm. Because the only point of view that matters is their own. Yes. That's an ungrateful, selfish individual that brings about division.
Yes. In scripture, it always talks about honor. Yes. And if we honor each other as we honor our Heavenly Father. And if we love our Heavenly Father as we should love each other, we wouldn't have as many problems on this earth that we have, because we will understand that the highest calling of all the laws that we have is love thy God all the heart, and then love thy neighbor. So if we can, if we can honor those things and implement them as a weapon of choice, and keep our guns loaded with those things, I think that we can solve a lot of the earth problems, a lot of the family problems, a lot of the communal problems, neighborhood problems. Neighborhoods are full of people who live next to each other that don't even speak because there's some type of bitterness or some type of disconnect or some type of selfishness. People are selfish in the ways where they say, well, you know what, that doesn't concern me over there. So I stay in my little cul-de-sac over here, and you stay over there. We get along. That's not how that thing works. When we was growing up, like I always said, when we was growing up, everybody in the community had gardens. Remember that? Mm-hmm. And then in those gardens, everybody came together and they gave out what they grew, what the other person didn't grow. So that when you went in your refrigerator, you had nothing but food, and everybody ate in the community. And if someone was lacking in the community, the bird call went out, and everybody came together and put a package together and walked it down to the house. Hey, we know you got kids. Compassion and empathy for the family. Because we know you got kids. We know you're a single mother here, or you're a father that got hurt at work and you ain't been at work. So we missing that again. We missing that in families and in communities. That's the problem we have right now. Everybody got dark shades on. Nobody got clear specs on. Nobody can see because they choose not to see because they want to wear dark glasses. We got to get out of that mindset. We got to get back to what a family. What is a family? When we talk about family, we're just talking about just the hurt of the family. We talk about what families are, what families honored at one point in time. Mm-hmm. The things that we honor. I honored the fact my grandpa took me fishing. Mm-hmm. He said, "Take me fishing." Yeah, he was mean. I couldn't do nothing when he fished. You had to be quiet. You couldn't stand up over the water because you cast a shadow. He was superstitious on a lot of different things. Which he caught fish. Every time he came with big. He just came with a big old giant, great big old totes full of big fish. So he knew how to fish. But when the grandkids were with him, man, it was just a different. He was just a different thing. He just didn't want. He had a standard of rules. He had rules when we went, and we had to honor. Because sometimes we get impatient because we ain't catching them. We want to start throwing rocks in the water. Oh, you didn't do. I did that once, and I never did it again. But there's a lot of different things you learn as you grow up. He said we don't go into courtrooms saying respect. Okay, no, okay. Steve Abraham said definition of respect: a feeling of deep admiration for someone and something, ignited by its abilities and qualities of achievements. Yes. And that's what we try to do, is achieve something. And all way we're going to be able to achieve that if everybody respect the mission statement.
Well, if everybody respects each other.
Respect each other and the mission that we're aiming for.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, oftentimes, there's not a common goal. Sometimes one person's goal may be relationship, the other person's goal is just to be a taker.
Yeah, or just to come, and not to participate.
Right. So, yeah. But when people have a common goal, and the goal is relationship, now that governs that attitude, that mentality will govern their behaviors. Mm-hmm. Because they understand the goal. Okay, this is the goal, so therefore this is what must go into that. This is what must go in to achieving that goal. Yes. But if you don't think like that, then of course you're gonna come with a different mentality, and it's going to conflict with the other mentalities.
Yes. based off my comments. What's the next one? Yeah.
Okay, we're at, yes, no, we're at number 4. Yeah, we're at number 4. Can we heal and apologize and move on? Well, I think the operative word there, one of the most important words there is heal. Because unless healing takes place, an apology has no place. Okay? You have to address the issue appropriately in order for apology to carry weight.
Yes.
Because someone can apologize and not mean it. Someone can apologize and keep doing the same thing they did the first time that caused that caused the rip in the first place. So if you're going to keep offending me, then what are you apologizing for? Because you don't mean it. Okay? But where there's healing, where there's a gained understanding, okay, where now I've been informed of where your buttons are. I'm being informed of the things that are going to set you off. Okay? So now that I'm informed, now I'm gonna do a better job at not pressing those buttons.
Yes.
Okay? Yes. So if I do that, okay, now when I apologize, my apology is gonna probably go something like this. I apologize for pressing this button. In the future, I will make an effort not to press that button. I will press this one instead. Yeah. You see what I mean? Yeah. That's an apology that will carry weight. Okay? Yeah. But if you apologize like this, well, he said, but if you apologize like this, I apologize for you being offended, but you made me mad. That's not an apology. Yeah. Okay? Because you threw that button there, yeah, and that button negated everything that came before it. It's a worthless apology.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And that's one of the problems that we always have, is that when we do try to apologize, we always got to find a reason why we're saying what we're saying, instead of just looking at the whole scenario and say, okay, what have I done wrong? How did I wrong you? And don't worry about how you wronged them. Just worry about how you wronged them, and let them focus on how they wronged you. And then y'all just come together and say, okay, we both wronged each other, and let's just fix it from this point on. Yes. So this is what the healing process takes.
Right. Because now I've learned about your buttons. You've learned about mine. Now healing has entered the room.
Exactly. He said most people, Alan McFall said, most people live by having to have the last say in some form of another. Our default setting is hard-headedness.
Yeah.
We really need to teach ourselves a position of apology.
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
And that's one thing we don't know how to do, is simply apology. Even I find myself sometimes, I be trying to apologize to something, and I always find myself looking for a reason to say, well, that I already did that because of this, and that. And it is hard. It is hard because, like I said, we wear dark shades when we look at our, like you said, the pen got a lot of ink when you can write someone else's story, but when it comes to you writing yours, it
runs out of ink.
There ain't no ink in it.
Sorry, no ink.
So I can't write my ink. We have that philosophy all the time. That is one of the things that we do. And I'm healing just by dealing with, through family. I'm learning a lot through our family and through many families that I talk with. I learn a lot. I'm learning a lot. And it's environmental pain and suffering. People are suffering because they don't want to heal. That's suffering. Because if you don't want to heal, you're suffering in silence.
Well, sometimes you're suffering before it. Sometimes you're suffering before the world.
Yeah.
Because you're unwilling to do something about, or whatever, you're unwilling to change whatever needs to be changed in order to stop the suffering.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, if you're bleeding to death, you need a tourniquet. Okay, you got to tie it off. Okay, if you don't tie it off, you're going to continue to bleed to death till you die.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but if you tie it off, you can stop the bleeding. You can slow down the bleeding dramatically until you can get to a hospital
Mm-hmm.
and to get proper medical care.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing. You cannot sit back, complain, and do nothing about the situation, and then be mad when the situation doesn't change. Okay, you got to do your part. Okay, you got to leave it to others to do their part, but you got to do your part.
You know, the sad part is that you can isolate yourself from the family, and you got time in your house to isolate yourself to actually to ponder over what you need to heal on, but you choose not to. You entertain yourself by being on your phone, talking about the family, talking about the issues, talking about this. When you can have that time, you can spend that isolation time and really do some self-reflecting. Use your time wisely when it comes to that part when you want to heal, because healing takes a process. It takes a process, and it takes some time to assess. You have to reflect and assess some issues.
Yeah.
And you got to see what was your involvement and how could you have moved around in a different route, in a different way. You remember when I got the thing, I had to drive off and I had to go.
Yeah.
I had to assess.
Right.
I had to regroup. Had to rethink things.
That was a mature decision, though.
Yeah.
But
you know, I used to didn't have that.
Yeah, exactly. But that took maturity to do that. Not everybody has that. Or I'm not going to say they don't have it. Everybody doesn't practice it. So they always go to their automatic behavior. Okay, the automatic behavior comes from the subconscious. Okay, so in other words, when something happens in the conscious, your response is a subconscious response. My automatic place that I go to. Okay, how do I typically handle these situations when they come about? This is because that's how our brains work. Our brains are very efficient, which is where habits come from. That's what a habit is. A habit is the brain's effort to minimize the amount of energy that it has to put out to do work. So what it does is, okay, I'm gonna create a habit. Yeah. And then so every time this happens, it's like an automatic. Okay, when this happens, this is how you respond. When this happens, this is how you respond. When this happens, so you have to. So what am I saying? I'm saying that when you realize within yourself that you have a habit that doesn't work, that one must make a deliberate effort to replace that habit with practice with a new habit. Yeah. And then once you replace that habit with a new habit, then when situations come up, because like you said, you didn't used to be able to, there was a time that you couldn't do that. But now, because you practiced, you had a lot of practice. So now that became the automatic. Okay, I'm mad, I'm hot, I'm heated right now. I'm gonna walk away for a minute. I'm gonna collect myself, then I'm gonna reach out. Yeah. Okay. Everybody hasn't practiced that yet. Okay. They skipped that day. Okay. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Steve Everett said the plague of resentment is strong in our people. Yes.
It is.
It is.
It is.
It's like we look for reasons to be upset. We look for reasons we find reasons to stay upset or to stay disconnected or to stay in a hurt position, in a hurt place. I say we don't want to heal because like you said, maybe we just don't. A lot of people just don't know how, and they don't know how to ask. They don't know how to ask for help because in our community we never got help. So a lot of times we don't know how to communicate anyway. So we don't know how to communicate asking for help. And asking for help is really gonna make you people, because we got this tough guy, tough woman exterior about us. We always feel like we gotta remain strong. We can't be vulnerable around nobody.
Sometimes we were just simply raised that way.
Yeah.
Okay? It comes from family dynamics.
Well, it came from slavery.
Yeah.
Because that's how they was taught in slavery.
Right.
Remember they was taking the women and they was doing all experiments and men. They said that we didn't have no pain like animals.
Right.
So they kind of got us thinking that way. So now we practice on ourselves that way. And when we was growing, that's what they told us. Boy, don't cry.
Right. But it goes, so it becomes a genetic response.
Yeah.
Okay. But it
So the
doesn't,
brain, like you said.
yeah, it doesn't have to. Yeah, that's part of the brain. That it's called genetic expression. Okay. When you start talking about generation things that are passed down to generations, you're talking about genetic expression. So you have genes that can be turned on and off.
Yeah.
Based on habits.
Yeah.
Based on what it is that you practice.
Old triggers.
Right.
Triggers.
All of them, all of that.
Yeah.
So when you talk about change or learning something new, establishing a new habit, when you establish a new habit, guess what? Those genes, some that it may have been that old habit may have been attached to a gene that gets turned off. That new habit may be attached to a different gene that gets turned on. And then guess what? Then the next generation benefits.
Yeah. Yeah.
From that change.
Alan LaFoe said, I would even say it could be less about practice per se and more about the person making a deliberate choice to do or be better about something than they currently are. Yes.
Yeah, and I agree with that. But the only thing I was saying is the reason why I say practice is because habits are hard to break.
Yeah, they are.
You know, so you may make a deliberate choice, a conscious choice to change, but when you're not paying attention, the subconscious takes over. It's like the way I describe it is like when you go on an automatic, like let's say you're driving to the store, right?
Yeah.
And your mind is on this, your mind is on that, you're thinking about this, you're thinking about that. You're just driving. You don't even realize. And then somehow, within minutes, you ended up at the store. You're like, wait a minute, how did I get here? Because I don't even remember making any turns. I don't remember, because your automatic brain took over. Those are those habits that take over.
The pilot.
Yeah.
They call it, but you program a car and go
Autopilot.
Yeah.
Autopilot takes over. So so what I'm saying is, even though you make a conscious effort, like he said, to be deliberate, when you're not thinking about it, you go back into those habits again. That's why, though you may sit down and have a conversation about something, about somebody about something that needs to change, in that conversation, they would tell you, okay, yeah, I'll change. Okay, yep, I got a better understanding. We're good. This is what women struggle with men. Okay, yep. You sat down, you have a conversation with your woman, and she said, yep, I'm gonna change, I'm gonna be different. And then that old behavior pops up again. Didn't we just talk about this? Oh, yeah. And then conscious, you have a conversation. So now it's conscious again. Oh, yeah, yep, I'm going to change. And then you're not thinking about it. Boom, that old habit comes back up. Then you're having the conversation again.
Yeah.
Because you're not making a conscious effort to practice that new habit.
Alan wanted to respond to that. He said, agreed, but one can practice something wrong, and sometimes our own acts are the things we are most blind to. Practice doesn't make perfect. Practice only reinforces what you're doing. Mm-hmm. That doesn't make it good or bad. Well, and practice, and most of the time we practice because that's what we do every day. It's like a religious thing that we do. It's religiously we wake up and do the same thing over and over until we practice something different, until we transform it to do it, to think in some way. That's why I said renew your mind, because we have to renew our minds and to think differently. Because if I wake up every day and practice, back in the days you practice, the way you handle situation was when we was growing up, we knuckled up. Remember, that's how we handle our differences. We always had to fight. But now that we older and more mature, we have to figure out better ways to handle situations. I can't punch a wall when I'm upset. I can't, because I'm hurt myself. Mm-hmm. I can't go punch a woman or punch a guy because I'm upset, because now I'm gonna put myself in another in more armed way or in danger or in trouble with the police or anything, Mm-hmm. So So now your brain has to now you have to break away from the practices that you had and start to say, oh, I got to develop a new way of thinking. And so, and then and then then when you're learning new techniques on how to handle situations, through scriptures, through books or literature, all different types of literatures and stuff, and you discovered that what you was doing all your life did not help you in the best way. And so then you'll say, I want to do something better because I got a seed. I want to make sure that they're coming up. They're coming into. They won't have to suffer the same fate that I suffered.
Sometimes we've got to. You can be raised a certain way, but you never question why.
Yes,
you're raised that way, and sometimes we have certain beliefs about things that we never questioned that we should question.
Yeah.
To determine whether or not it's good to believe
because
or good to do, because we were told by somebody we trusted.
We were told by adults that you don't question adults.
Yeah, and or
authority or pastor, whatever.
You told by somebody you trusted this is the way we do things, so you just took it face value based on what they said. Okay, I'm gonna do it this way, but you never questioned it. But then when one day you might question it if you ever reach that point, but then you question it, and then through your own investigative efforts, you realize, oh, this is not a good way to do things.
Or when you question it, you get immediately sacrificed because other people wanted you to question it, but they were too scared to do it, and they led you out to do it, and then they all turned it back on you. Yeah. So then all of a sudden, now you don't want to question it anymore. Yeah, that happens too.
Yeah, that can happen too.
But that's good. That's a good way of looking at it. I'm glad you brought that to the table. Yeah, that's neat. What was the next one we had?
I think that
was 5 minutes.
Okay. What should be the solution to finding that light, which to me is balance for reconciliation?
Reconciliation.
The first part of that is what should be the solution to finding that light. So, because the light is what points the direction or leads to reconciliation. Yeah. So the question is really about what leads to the light. And as you talked about earlier, I believe, as you mentioned, communication. Communication is key to leading to that light, because communication is like when we talk about family gatherings and people coming together, it's not a matter of just coming to get in a plate and leave.
Yes.
It's not a matter of coming and hanging out in cliques. Yes. It's not a matter of coming and sitting and staying away from everybody. It's a matter of coming and participating and sitting with people and getting to know them. And because as you get to know them, what it does is it opens up more doors of communication. You know more about them, they know more about you. And each interaction, each time that you come back together, you've learned a little bit more about each other. And each time it helps bring you closer and closer and closer together. Yes. That's a unifying goal. And those are the steps that are involved in achieving that goal. Yes. If that makes sense.
Yeah. And sometimes you don't realize that you have more in common with people that you think you did, because you never took the effort or took the route to get to know them.
Right.
And sometimes you have to take a different route. The highways is full of routes.
Right.
And the highways are so many routes to it, but but you're looking for the destination. Mm-hmm. And what the thing is, we got to look at the destination. Don't just look at the route. Look at the destination. Look at where you're trying to go.
Right.
Where the goal, our destination is to have better families, and more quality families, where we actually able to be a village and do the things that we're supposed to do to raise our children in the most proper and productive way. And how that way might look to everybody, that might be the thing that we might have to have a discussion about. So we can understand how that looks and what that looks like. But that will never happen if I don't have no communication.
Right.
So that's the light we need to get to. We need to understand what that light looks like, and what does reconciliation means to everybody. Because reconciliation might not mean the same to everybody. It might mean to me and you. Mm-hmm. They might feel like, oh well, long as I just come to the family get together, I'm reconciling my difference. No participation, no nothing else. But they just feel like since they show up, just like when they go to church, when they show up, they think they're doing God's will.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's some work you got to put in that too. You got to put in some work, you got to put in some efforts. You got
to because there's a reason that you're isolated.
Yes.
There's a reason that you're clicking.
Yes.
There's a reason that you're staying away. There's a reason that you contemplated not showing up. Mm-hmm. And that you must deal with. You must deal with those reasons. And that's the purpose. And that's the so when you show up, it's an opportunity to deal with those reasons. Mm-hmm. So if you know that you have an issue with a certain person and that person shows up, you show up, y'all can go off. You say, hey, you can walk up to them and say, hey, can we talk for a minute? Y'all can walk off, take a walk, and address some of those things.
Or in that dynamic, you might want to squash something. Yeah. And you might have felt like that person's gonna be accepted to you doing it. You got people in there. You can say, I know, because Reagan can go. I know he'd be a good facilitator to take with me while I'm trying to address it because I really want to get this over with. Mm-hmm. This is your opportunity,
right?
You know what I mean? So there's a lot of ways you can find ways to incorporate into the idea of coming. Once you come,
right?
You can make it. You can adjust the situation by really utilizing the tools you have around you, because everybody there is a tool,
right?
And you coming is the box, the toolbox.
Right.
So once you open it up, then you start displaying what tool you're gonna be at each individual, because each individual don't require the same tool.
Right.
So then you use this one over here. You might need a blueprint. You might need a blueprint to deal with this person over here, because you might need some instructions.
Right.
Over here, you might need a tape measure. You might need to measure the distance while y'all have that distance between y'all two. Right. So you take the tape and you measure and say, okay, it took us while I measured. You know, over here you might take a screwdriver. You might have to import something inside something.
Right.
Inside yourself. You might screw something inside yourself. Right. You know, so you can use any type of, the tools are universal, you know, and I always say, we always talk about that all the time. Mm-hmm. Use your tools. Mm-hmm. They're not there just to be just to showcase. They're there to be utilized. Right. Utilize them. Come, bring yourself, because you are a major tool. You're a tool, and we need you so we can deal with that. We can deal with all the other issues, you know. And families is not, no family's perfect. I don't care what you can run from one family to the next family. You're going to find the same issues. Mm-hmm. Only difference is that when you run to another family, you're not included in their problem, their mess. You know what I mean? Because they got their own. But you can see their mess. You know what I mean? But you're not included. But when you come to your family, you're included in the mess. Right. That's the only difference.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like running from family is like running out of town.
Yeah.
You know, you think when you go to a new town or a new city or a new state, whatever the case may be, and you think, oh, okay, I've gotten away. No, because what you realize, if you didn't deal with the issue that you dealt with, if you didn't deal with the issue in the city or the town or the state that you left, that same issue is going to follow you wherever you go. Mm-hmm. So either way, you're going to have to learn how to deal with those issues, no matter where you go. And if you can be successful in this town, this city, then you can be successful in that town, that city, that state. And you can be successful in that town, that city, that state.
And you can't pack up when you pack up and move to another state with the same mess. When you go to the other state, what you think you're unpacking?
Yeah, mess.
You're unpacking the same mess you took with you.
Exactly. Exactly.
Alan LaFont said, if I heard the question right, part of the answer lies in each of taking an honest look in the mirror, addressing if what we are, so that our quest for reconciliation is true and pure, and not a mask for us to feel like we won the battle. Do you want peace, or do you want no morality, that you were the one who looked like you tried and really didn't?
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I like the way you put that.
Yes, and that's basically, Alan, you're right. People want the no morality to say that they tried, but they really
didn't try.
They really didn't. They just wanted to look like, they just wanted to mask it on the outside.
Right, because they want to keep the mess going.
Yes.
So they said, See, they turned away real fast. And see, yep, I told you they didn't want it. And you stop right there.
Yes, yeah, and that's what hurts us, and this is what we fight with.
Yeah,
you know, we've been doing pretty good on staying on top of that and trying to fight those things. Even though there's little hiccups that come along here and there, but that's what our challenges is for as men. That's why God made us with broad shoulders to be able to handle the weight of these type of situations. It ain't easy, and it is stressing. It is a battery draining.
Mm-hmm.
If I didn't take that time to get away and walk, drive off, to recharge, and then you came in and impacted that battery to keep that battery boosted, I wouldn't have been able I wouldn't be able to recover that fast. Mm-hmm. Even though I'm still depleted, right? But I was able to still be able to be a part, right? Without being so, even though I digressed a lot, like I didn't, but I wasn't
still sustainable.
I was still sustainable, and I was still able to be cordial and still be able to be a decent human being, right? Right. And that's what people need to learn. Yes, you can still do that even though you feel a certain way.
Yeah, and like I said, it's okay to take a walk. That doesn't mean you're weak. Wise men, wise women, take walks. When you realize you're at your limit, that is the best time to take a walk. If you realize that you're in a conversation with somebody and it's going south real fast, you can cut the conversation. You know what? So that we don't say things to each other that we don't mean, let's take a break. All it takes is one person to say that. Let's take a break from each other and reconvene another time. Yes. That's the mature approach. Yes. Rather than continue to engage like two rams going at it, locking horns. Yeah. Don't do that.
Yeah, definitely. We're gonna end it. We're gonna close it up. I got a call I got to go get to, and I know, but this is a good subject. I think we handled that subject pretty well without hurting nobody, without making it look like we were pointing fingers. Just open dialogue on. I hope that people that listen. I hope that everybody who has a family and this is the stuff that y'all going through. I hope y'all able to take some of these tools with you and put it in your toolbox and utilize them, for healing yours. Because when you heal yours, you heal ours, and we heal us. That's the community, and that's what we got to use these for. What's your final thought?
Communication is key. Keep that line of communication open. That will more than likely promote healing, and come to better understandings.
Yes, yeah. And I just say, feedback off. We said communication is key, and selfless. Be selfless, and when it comes to us, we have to. Everybody should have a mission statement. The reason why I say I use mission statement because it gives you a fine. It draws a conclusion from your short-term goals to your long-term goals, and what it does, it gives you steps to get there. So when you create a mission statement within your family dynamics, like you want the family to be at a certain point at a certain particular time, you write this statement and you write it up, and then you say to yourself, "This is what I'm going to do to help the family reach this goal in this 5 years." And when I get to the 5 year, I'm gonna go back and revisit that because then I want to see it go for the next another 5 years. You see what I mean? So then you have something to look back into. And I think that helps with any type of organization. It helps with family. It helps with corporations. It helps with anything. I think that's what everybody should write within themselves. What is their mission statement for moving forward? And what is the outcome they want to see? What is the desired outcome, as I say? So, as I say that, but I said, remember, I is important because I has to come into the we. And once I understand that what I do does affect us, it does affect our community, affects we as a people, then I understand that it's going to take we, us, and ours. It's going to take a collective thought, a collective collective effort and collaboration. So, love, life, loyalty. Keep that in your books too.
Peace.
A rich man's world. I have turned the soul of this beautiful land, but the